Mark, back in action this Saturday at home against Harrogate. After the Port Vale game, were you keen to have a fixture in the league straight away, or was it a welcome break in any respect?
Well, because we had the quick turnaround with the cup game, it sort of put that game to bed quite quickly. I think everyone quite enjoyed the weekend off, if I'm being honest. I think there is obviously if you can build some momentum and have a game around quite quickly, then fine. The other side of the coin is we've had some good performances recently. You know, you look at the Blackpool game, very strong, albeit not how we wanted the result to go, but Swindon, we took a point from the game. We drew at Stevenage, having beaten Port Vale. So that period of time, we feel like results have turned a little bit for us. We feel like performances have turned a little bit for us. And because we've had a couple of weeks where we've not had so much, it probably feels like we've been better for longer than maybe we have been. So that's not a bad thing at all. It gives everyone an energy about them, and it gives us a chance to be hopefully fresh going into this weekend. Hopefully that's what we'd hope for. So we were really happy with the result the last time we played in the league here. Really pleased with lots of elements of the game that followed it in the cup game, and pleased with the last week or so to have got a little bit of rest in and a little bit of work into some, and for some of the boys returning, they've been able to train this week, where had we had games it might have been a bit more difficult for them. So whether that benefits us right away, I'm not sure, but I think over the real busy Christmas period it should do.
Of course, Harrogate come here under Simon Weaver, who I believe is now the EFL's longest serving manager. Done a great job at Harrogate, a couple of promotions into the EFL, always tricky customers. How do you think the game will pan out?
Well, they're in a similar sort of run as ourselves. They played Blackpool in a cup game, played very well. And they've had a couple of good results in trophy or cup competitions where they've certainly played well. And had a brilliant result last week against Chesterfield. So that's a big result. We know how good a team Chesterfield are. So whilst they will be probably dissatisfied with the position they've found themselves and the run of form that they've had, games have been very close that they've played in, quite low scoring games, and the recent games and a return of a few of their more athletic players has given them a slightly different dimension. So you can definitely expect a hard running team that create you chances, and they play with an intensity and an edge which you know makes them a difficult opponent. At the same time as that, we've got to make sure we try to dominate the game and take the scruff of the neck, and we want to come out the winning team, because it's really important for us that we stack a run of wins ideally, but certainly unbeaten run together over this next period. We're a third of the season in the league, and from this game on, I think we play 5 in 28 days or something, and then 5 in 17, so it gets crazy. Now this next period we need to keep ticking away and stack some results together, and by the time we get to the second game in January we'll be over halfway, and that will really start to shape out what the season's going to look like. So these games the players have to recognise the importance of. We've got to play with the personality of a good side and the quality of a tough side. And I think the game will be really challenging. It looks like it's going to be absolutely chucking it down with buckets of rain and 45-mile-an-hour winds, which will bring its own challenges, and we have to make sure we stand up to all of them.
Lovely. Thank you, Mark. Ben, all yours.
Mark, just firstly on the weekend off, I bumped into your head of recruitment at the game I was at. Did you go along to a game? You kept yourself busy?
Yeah, I could lie and tell you I did. We took the weekend off, everybody. I watched the Harrogate Chesterfield game on Sky. I guess that counts, but I decided against a weekend on the road going up there. So I think it's really nice. I think everybody enjoyed those couple of days, and in fairness to the boys, like last week, back end of the week after Stevenage, they worked brilliantly, really good level in training, and then Monday, Tuesday this week, very good. And now obviously these couple of days building up to the game, we're smoothing off a little bit into the game, but I think everybody enjoyed a couple of days. And there are times in the season where you get maybe a Sunday, Monday, and you get a double day, but there is something about having a Saturday because everyone else is off as well, so you can just catch up with people, which is nice. And a lot of us that live away from home were able to get home and see people that perhaps we haven't seen, so that was really enjoyable. And it gives you a bit of a time to plan and be prepared for when we come back in, and we've used the week well, and I think that weekend served us well, certainly just in your head, to have a little bit of space and time, and now we need to make sure it serves us well with the games ahead.
I guess it's a weird month off the back of October that was very busy, and then again you're going into another crazy busy month. So on the one hand, will there be some rustiness to shake off, or will you be better off for the training this weekend? And then in the long run, I guess, the break will do you good.
I know. If only anyone knew the answer to that. Like, you plan and you train and you try to get your schedule in line with performing at a really high level when the games come. And I've had teams in the past, taken teams and played against teams that have had a break, not had a break, both had a break when they play each other, both played through when others have had a break, and one having a break and another. And there is no thought, there is no answer, there is no one answer to get it right. In the end, what we're trying to do is train into the game, have a real competitive team ready to go. And you ain't got time for rustiness. Like, we've played football most days between those games, and it was only last Tuesday that we had one. Funnily enough, the way this month works, we play this game and then we have quite a break before the Bromley game. So it's just the way the month works. November's only busy if you do well in cup competitions, and we've gone out of them, so therefore it becomes a quiet month. But it doesn't stay quiet for very long. So we have to make the most of it. We have to use the time that we've got because of the break in fixtures for various reasons to get people up to speed. Because whilst in the next few weeks there'll be some unhappy players, no question, there'll be some players missing out on squads that want to be playing, and there'll be some of those boys that just have a bit of a quiet month, really, I guess. What I know is by the time that Christmas period comes, we're going to need everybody, and if we can have a packed squad fit and available at that point, then hopefully that serves as a real competitive advantage for us, and that's what we'll be trying to do.
Right then, let's get to the squad. You were hoping that on your birthday that you were going to have players to pick from, so have you got anyone coming back out of Mackenzie, Lapsley, Rowe, Nevitt, Dack?
Not Dacky, everybody else is trained. So everybody that's had one or two different issues, Lapsley's trained, Nev's trained, Azza's trained. Who's the other one?
Mackenzie.
Robbie's trained. They've trained all week, so that's good. Obviously some have been out for longer than others. Some have got a little bit more behind them since those games, and different types of injuries, different types of players, and also what other options we've got in the squad will all be in my thought process, really, as to are they fit to train or are they fit to play, and if they're fit to play, how much can they play. So I think all those considerations are in my head, really. What we wouldn't want to do is just chuck someone in a little bit early and then bear the cost of that. If we can try to avoid that, that would be great. What we have after this game is another good block before the next one, before the games pick up. So for maybe one or two of those, as much as they'll want to be involved now, I might put the reins on it a little bit and just keep hold of them to get another bit more training time in. And maybe the type of injuries that they've had will determine that a little bit, because if you've been out 6, 7, 8 weeks and you train 2 or 3 days with the team, that isn't a lot, really. So we have to be a bit mindful of that. But some of them will definitely come back in. Some that have been in it will miss out. That's where we are, but we'll shape up on that this afternoon and decide that. And yeah, we'll go from there.
And Bradley, did he go to St George's Park last week? Did he have that week?
Yeah, it's actually at Loughborough. It was actually at Loughborough because England were on an international break, so it was a late change of venue, but Loughborough University is pretty good, so that's been good. So he's had a good week there. He's been back and he's been out on the grass a little bit this week, but again, we're just managing that, and we don't really have a timeline on it at the moment. We'll just keep monitoring that over the next few weeks, and hopefully in the next few weeks we'll give him a chance to get a few training sessions in and start to build up as we get towards that busy spell.
I think you've said before about how players are always unhappy with the decisions you make, but from your point of view, I guess you can have some nice headaches in the short term, and then hopefully you'll reap the benefits of having a fit squad going forward. Yeah, hopefully,
and in the end, when you play, you have to play and help us win. Like, that's it. You got to contribute at the best level, and you can find lots of reasons why you haven't. In the end, majority of these players, some of them won't have had as many opportunities yet as they want and played as many games as they have, but over the 6 months or however many months we've been in the season, including cup games and the 15 league games, everyone's had a good crack at it. So yeah, we've been an inconsistent team probably in that period, and we've got to find a way of finding real consistency and putting results together and stacking up some wins ideally. So yeah, like I'll always make the decisions with the best intentions. Some will miss out. They have to be with the team, work the socks off to get back in it when their chance comes, which it will, because it changes very fast. They have to be ready to contribute, and you rely on that really from players, that professionalism. But I see no issue there at all. And yeah, of course it's a decision to make, and it creates you a bit of a headache because you upset a few, but they know the game. We all know how it works. That's how it is, and hopefully we can whatever the 11 and then squad after that is at the weekend, we can put on a performance that gives us a real chance of getting 3 points.
Does the fact that you're only playing these couple of games in November put even more emphasis on the game and the result? Obviously you managed to get the victory against Port Vale, which was ideal. I guess you're sort of even more desperate to follow it up with the fact that it's going to be so long until you get another crack at it.
Yeah, I think I made the point today to the players exactly that really. Two things. One, we need to put runs together, so that just places an importance on the game anyway. But when there's a big gap between players, if you have a bad game and you've got another one really soon, that's good for you. Sometimes the same is true if you win a game. But if you're going to have a gap between games, have a gap having won, because the world feels much better. It can feel a long, long time until the next game comes. So that has to be the motivation. Recognise the moment that we're in, the situation of the season that we're in. We're getting into the nitty gritty a little bit now. We've had that first third of the season where no real shock to me. League 2 hasn't taken huge shape yet, and probably in 15 games time will still be really open, because that's just the nature of the league. But we need to be one of the teams that are right in the mix, and that's the challenge for us.
And Harrogate, I don't know if you're aware, the game at their place, the last time the two teams played, Gills played pretty well in the first half, playoffs was still in the pipeline, and then they imploded second half and lost 5-1. Is there a little bit of kind of psychological baggage that you have to kind of sort of work through with players after games like that?
No, I don't think so. I think the team's going to be so different. It's such a different era. Dale actually told me that story this morning, so it's the first time I'd heard it, but I've not heard a whisper of that at all. I don't think players do carry things like that really, not too often, especially when games are that random. I have my own story of a game at Harrogate when we were chasing promotion and we needed a point to get promoted. And we hardly ever conceded a goal at Cambridge, and we lost the game 5-4. It was the maddest game ever, so it must be something about Harrogate away. But look, we take them on here. We've got to try and get to the best level, and I don't foresee there being anything in players' heads around that. I think it's easy to put those things together. People talk sometimes in, like if the history of 20 years, you've only beaten a team a certain amount of times, people say they're a bogey team, and just being talking about it like that actually creates the problems, because when you genuinely think about it, what on earth has one game now got to do with one 10 years ago or whatever? It's like completely different. So yeah, just play the game that's in front of you, and do everything you can to be on a winning team.
And I guess that's your birthday wish, whether you get cake or whatever. You just want the 3 points.
Yeah, 3 points. I definitely don't need cake, if I'm honest. So yeah, it would be lovely to get a result, but it'd be lovely to get a result for us. And yeah, I told you it was my birthday the other week, which was a stupid thing to do, because I absolutely hate the fact that people talk about it. But yeah, look, get to work, do the job, make the best of it, and I think really important for us after a brilliant win here in the last game to try and back that up is really important for us.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
You mentioned sort of about the psychological challenges of coming back from a week off, and obviously got another weekend off, but also the physical challenges. It sounds like you've trained pretty well this week, but I mean, what's tougher really, sort of the mental side of it or the physical side of it?
More physical probably, just because you lose the rhythm and the flow of how you work, but usually the more you think about something, the bigger it gets. So if you want to convince yourself that it's mentally challenging, you will convince yourself of that. If you want to convince yourself it's hard, you will. It's usually as hard, easy, difficult as you think it is, or you're as confident as you think you are. So let's not be too snowflakey, despite the weather being as it is. We are in control of how we feel, how we train, the intensity we get to, and whether we played 3 days ago or 10 days ago, have won 8 in a row or lost 8 in a row, grow up a bit and go and fight the game, because that's what the competition demands, and we have to be a good side this weekend, and we have to stack results together, because we can talk about being a big team and a big club and a team that needs to be competing at the top, and the players can talk about our ambitions, and I can talk about what we want to achieve as a team, but it's all cheap really. We have to deliver, we have to go and perform properly and find a really good level in our game, and it's down to us to stack together results and wins, and if we can do that, then we might be able to become the team we talk about being and wanting to be.
Is it nice sort of having these checkpoints at this point, because the squad's obviously still relatively sort of new and not that far into the season? Obviously you came in the summer. Is it still relatively nice to have those those checkpoints just to sort of see kind of where the squad's at, and obviously, like you sort of mentioned before, sort of bringing players back.
Yeah, I mean, I've said before, we do that anyway. Every 5 games we sort of review where we are, and then you have a third of the season. Actually, it's the breaks come at a quite clean cut point because it's at the end of one of those periods, but that's a continual process for us, just assessing where we are. I think everybody understands that a lot of players that are here were here previously, so in one sense it's not a new group. In another sense it is, because there's quite a few new faces in there and new staff and a new way of doing things, so in a way it's very different. And in a way, the other side of that is, look at the number of players that haven't played in games so far. I don't even think we've seen the team that this season's going to be emerge yet, but what we have seen is a team that has continually developed and changed, coped with lots of challenges so far. We got through a big challenge last week by coming off the back of a bad run and putting that to end with a draw at Swindon, with a really good performance with Blackpool, with a big league win against Port Vale, with an excellent performance and result at Stevenage, and all of a sudden then you start to turn it, but you only turn it if the next game's the right one, and that's the one we have to now really focus on. Game 16, can we be 3 points better off? That's got to be the target for us. They'll want the same thing, I'm sure of that, but that's what we've got to really focus on.
And playing here, I mean, it's always a sort of a special occasion for the players, and I mean, obviously at this sort of point in the season, into late November, it's a real hardcore fans that are going out there and need to put in a performance that they're going to be proud of.
Yeah, always, and yeah, they'll be hardcore being here this weekend, because it's going to be not a very nice day to stand and sit and watch a football match, but that's what it is, isn't it? And we have to make sure we roll our sleeves up and have a real good go at it, and try to put on a performance that entertains people, inspires people. All those things are really important for a team. Ultimately, I think supporters are proudest when they get a result, and if they get it in a way that really looks like us at our best, then happy days.
Obviously a lot of home games and the Bromley game, which isn't going to be too far, so I mean, just generally over the sort of next period, they're going to be hugely important, aren't they? And
yeah, that period that we've got is a lot of games in a short period of time, but we haven't got to go far for many of them, which is good. The fixtures, that obviously they designed them with that in mind, but with so few southern clubs it could easily have gone against us. But the travelling that we have to do in that period of time, when we go to Bromley, we go to Milton Keynes, we go to Wimbledon, we go to Chesterfield, so not too bad amongst what could have been. And then obviously we have a number of games here as well. It's a really good run, and the pace of the season really picks up around Christmas, and we want to make sure that we're running and we're right in the race.
You mentioned that Harrogate, games have been quite sort of low scoring games, and I think actually other than the 5-1, the Gillingham games against Harrogate have been fairly low scoring. Is that sort of what you're planning for in League 2? Do you have to be sort of a lot more versatile than that, really?
Well, we'd love to plan that it's low scoring for them and really high scoring for us. That's what everyone's plan is, and I'm pretty sure their plan would be the same. So I think you look at our record so far, we currently have the best defensive record in the league, which fluctuates because we had it once and then that slipped away, and then we've got there again, so that's excellent, and we have to maintain that, which is difficult, but we've got a lot of work to do to become a high scoring team, and we need to become one, because we can't finish where we want to if we don't become one. So in terms of the quality that individuals bring, the combined quality that we find as a team, the number of chances and the quality of those chances we create, that naturally has to improve over the next sort of 10 games in order for us to have the season we want to.
Knowing that you've got the best defensive record in the league, it sort of highlights how good you have been, considering you've got 6 on there.
Yeah, I think how good our first run was. I think at the fact that we lost we had the run that we did, but still stayed in touch with the playoff position, shows 2 things. 1, how good a start we made, and 2, just how open and random the league is. So it's really obviously frustrating when you're living that yourselves and you get wrapped up in your own business. But when you do just step back and look at the league, everyone's doing it. Like good runs, bad runs, inconsistent runs. It's why you have to try and be the most consistent of the inconsistent teams in this league, because it is an inconsistent league where teams are up and down. Every single team can beat every single team. Forget form and forget league positions. It's pretty much irrelevant when you look at this league, and it has been for years. So for us, it's about trying to stack some runs together and games together, because in a tight league, if you can put a couple of consecutive wins together or good runs, can make a really big difference. You look at Port Vale, they're the team that have opened a bit of a gap with some really good back-to-back results, and that's what we've got to try and do.
Does it surprise you how patient the fans have been?
I don't know really. I don't know whether I've noticed that they've been patient or impatient. I just think they've been supportive, which is what it should be. So I've been really impressed by the numbers that support us, by the noise, by the energy towards the team, by the goodwill towards the team, by the collective relief when we got the result last week. It's a nice little journey to live together. So I don't know whether I'd have expected anything different, or whether I'd say I've recognised particularly that they have or haven't been. I just think they've been really good football fans and supporters of their team, which is what it is. Because I think the vast majority of football fans just understand that that's what this league is, that's what the level is, that's what supporting a team is. If you've supported any team for a few years, you probably have seen this cycle play out a few times. And we're right in the mix, third in. And in many ways we haven't even started yet, so it's quite exciting really.
Can I ask you about the Youth Cup on Tuesday night? Boys are unfortunate to lose.
Maybe. Doesn't help if you have 9 players, that's really difficult to win, but they played well. It was a good game against a good team. I quite enjoyed it. It was entertaining, and down to 9, keeping it at 2-1 was absolutely brilliant for a long time, and really under not a lot of threat. And had a brilliant chance at the end, which Swindon goalie's made a great save. So almost took it to extra time. I mean, I'm not sure how that would have looked. 30 minutes, 11 versus 9. That could have been really tough. But no, they've had some good performances, and certainly some individuals that have done quite well in the games.
And some good backing as well, I thought.
Yeah, good. I think over 400. Which was really nice to see, because it was absolutely freezing. So fair play anyone come there, and ahead of the weekend, anyone that comes again, like hopefully the numbers keep stacking up. Seems a while since we've been there. Seems ages to me since that Port Vale game. So hopefully we get a really good atmosphere in here this weekend. Thank you.
Can I just ask one more, because that's reminded me about Joe Dunn obviously taking that job, and somebody you know very well.
Yeah, really well. So we worked together at Cambridge. In a few, he was assistant manager to Sean Derry, and I was sort of 21s, first team, coach, academy manager, a few different roles. I'd have performed and worked with him there. When Sean left, Joe was interim manager and I was assistant with him. Joe got the job, and I was assistant manager to him as head coach. And then when Joe left, Colin Calderwood came in and I was assistant manager to Colin. So we worked together all in all for a fair period of time there in a few different positions, so obviously know him well. And I've kept in touch with him and Graham Coughlin, who I know well from Southend. They worked together previously in Newport and a few other places. So obviously Joe's known to supporters here because he played here. So it's quite a nice link, and football's just a mad world that it turns out he's back here. Firstly, he's in the role of youth coach. I'm doing this job. It's just a really strange period of time. But what I know is we've got a really good coach, very experienced, and the boys are lucky to have him, and he'll really help that group of players, which is great for us.